How's it going, guys? It is Plastic Disaster back with the Villains Month. The next villain we're going to take a look at is the HGUC Sinanju from the OVA series Mobile Suit Gundam Unicorn. Now, what makes this so frightening? Well, it's the pilot and the mobile suit itself. Talking about the pilot, he is the second coming of Char, and just like Char, this mobile suit is faster than a regular one. I mean, I would be scared if a villain comes up to me super fast. Taking a look at the box art, we have the Sinanju doing a dynamic pose, and while you have the Girazulu and Zilla Sopper use in the background. This side of the box has some nice thruster gimmicks, weapon layout, and a nice action pose. Looking at this side of the box, we have the rear and front shot of the model kit. We also have a nice CG render of the unicorn going up against the Sinanju. And right over here, we have the specs of the mobile suit and what it looks like in the anime. And cracking open the box, we are greeted with 5 bags of runners and a manual. Looking at the cover of the manual, here is the studio shot of the painted model kit. We got more information of the Sinanju, but it's in Japanese. Taking a quick glance at the parts list, it looks like we're going to be using all of them. Moving on to the back of the manual, we already seen these familiar pictures. Right down here is the information of the mobile suit and the pilot himself. And down here is the color guide if you're planning on painting it, and it shows you how to apply those foil stickers. Starting off with runner A is going to be a multicolored runner. We got gray, big chunk of black, white parts and yellow parts. Runner B is going to be the red parts. Runners C1 and C2, we have more red parts, and you have runner C2 is going to be a copy of this section. Runner C is going to be the gray parts for the weapons and hand options. Runners E1 and E2 is going to be more gray parts for the joints, and runner E2 is going to be a copy of this section. 2 runner Fs for the effect parts. Old school polycap runner, and when I mean by old school, I mean the one from 2008. And just to clarify, the kit came out in 2010. And finally, the scariest thing of all, the giant foil sticker sheet. I believe there are some parts that have molded detail, which makes it easier for me to paint it. So that's going to be it for the out-of-box presentation. And my guess that the build might be interesting, but we'll see how it goes, and I'll see you guys right after that. And here's the Sinanju all put together. Now, I know the out-of-box presentation may not look the best, but it's actually understandable if you think about it because of all the gold that is missing. I'm talking about these gold stickers that's supposed to go on the kit. Now, normally I would go into detail on where these stickers go, but the fact that we have so many of these stickers, just know that whenever you see a molded detail on a black part, that's where the gold sticker goes. But for the green ones, the small green circle is going to go to the eye in there, and the big green circle is going to go to the beam rifle right here. Now, I know I'm being a little negative about it, but hey, it's no big deal. You know you can always paint it, but hey, on the bright side, at least this kit has some pretty decent color separation. And as for the engineering, it's also pretty good as well. And it's a pretty solid kit. Unlike the real grade, yes, I do have the real grade, and I'm not gonna bring it down and make a comparison. Do it, you coward! Fine, you want it? Well, here it is. And you're lucky I did a little bit of maintenance on this kit. And if you want me to compare the out-of-box presentation, well, it's a little bit unfair because real grades are very detailed and they have a very nice color separation. In terms of how solid it is, before I did some maintenance work on the real grade, I do have parts falling off, so I had to do a bit of gluing. I've had this RG for a couple years already, and it's still hanging in there, so I'll give it that. Oh, actually that's after I did the maintenance work. Alright, so that's about it for my rants and comparison with the RG. Let's go back and focus on the HG. I totally forgot that the RG is back heavy. So moving on with seam lines, surprisingly, you don't get a lot. There is one on the back of the head. If you look very closely, there's that one tiny little seam line. Maybe you don't have to deal with it. You get one on the forearms right here, and luckily you don't have to take care of the one that's on the back because it's gonna be covered. You get one that's going up and down on the thigh, and there's one on the fuel tanks. Normally I would end it right here for an out-of-box presentation, but I'm not going to because I am planning on painting this kit. Moving on with accessories, starting off with hand options. As you can see, the Sinanju already has the closed fist, and next up you have these weapon holding hands, and you get a trigger finger hand along with the beam rifle. And for the beam rifle, this part's open up, allows you to put in the grenade launcher, and just close that up, and this is how it looks. I do prefer the beam rifle like all beefed up, but you can attach the grenade launcher to the shield, which I will show you right now. So here's the shield. To plug it in, see this little hole right there, you just plug it into this tab right here, and bada bam, here's how it looks. And speaking of the shield, yes, this is an adapter piece which allows you to plug it into the side of the arm or under the arm, and you have these stored beam axes. Now if you really want to bring it down and make it like a melee weapon, so if you're going to have to pop up these beam axes first, and then you're going to have to plug it in the opposite way. Alright, so now that they pop off, so like I said, you know how they were stored like this last time we saw it, so you're going to have to rotate this down, and like I said, plug it into the opposite side, and you're going to do the same thing for the other axe. So now that you got the axes in, you're going to put in the beam effect part, and you have two choices. You're going to either do the long one or the short one, or you can mix and match. It'll probably look something like this, or this if you prefer the short ones, or like I said, mix and match. Now the shield has really cool functions and all, but the main problem is that the top part of the shield keeps hitting with the shoulder armor, but if you plug it on the underside of the arm and take advantage of that bicep swivel, maybe it won't be a problem at all. Yeah, I forgot it also does a little wiggle as well. Alright, so going back to the beam axe, you already saw what the stored version looks like, but if you want the Sinanju to hold it, here they are. And what's the difference, you might ask? Well, take a look at this. This will allow you to combine them so you can have it hold it like Darth Maul style. And finally, you have two beam sabers, and unfortunately the beam saber handles have nowhere to go. Now if you guys watch the anime, the beam saber handles would pop out of the wrist. Of course, silly me, I forgot about the adapter piece to store the beam rifle. Alright, so to put the adapter piece in, first you might want to pop off this red piece, and then it will allow you to plug this in. Now, the manual said you do have to take out the scope. I guess it's the reason why, because it will collide with the backpack or something. And you see this little lump right there? That is going to go in, so it will have a better secure connection. And with the backpack back on, here's how it looks, and dang, I do love me some weapon storage. Moving on with the articulation, the head is on a ball joint, but for some weird reason, on my copy, it's loose. Alright, I'm gonna have to pop up the head for a second there, just to show you that you do have this neck gimmick. I know you can barely see it, but it can move up and down ever so slightly. Shoulder is on a peg, so it will allow you to rotate, and you also get some forward movement. The shoulder flap can move out, and the arm can go this far up, only 90 degrees. Already mentioned bicep swivel. Then at the elbow, which gives you 90 degrees, but due to design, it does curve a little bit right there. Ball joint on the wrist. Don't get any ab crunch or anything, but you do get a ball joint on the waist, which allows you to do, well, of course, what a ball joint does. Front skirt moves out, side skirt moves out, and for the back skirt, get ready for this, it moves out. For the hips, it is on a ball joint, so it allows you what a ball joint does, but it does not give you a full split. No thigh swivel, but you can simulate one. Double joint on the knee, the back of the leg, this part moves out, which shows a thruster. The thrusters on the side of the leg can rotate, but if you want to, you're gonna have to pull it out just a little bit and rotate it, and that's how you do it. As for the foot, it can move forward this far, can move back this far, a lot of downward movement, and it's on a ball joint, of course. As for the pivot, it's only a tiny bit. Moving on to the backpack, it can move up and down and can flip in and out. And you also have this nice gimmick which these two can move out. And finally, you have these fuel tanks on a ball joint. Overall, the articulation is not bad, but I could say that I have more fun handling the high grade version than the real grade version. So that is saying a lot. Let's move on to the size comparisons. Size comparisons, here it is right next to the standard size RX-78-2. Now, can you believe that these two are in the same timeline? Like 16 years later, you got bigger and badder mobile suits. Next up, here it is right next to its arch nemesis, the Unicorn Gundam. This is a real grade, by the way, but if you guys do some detail paint, panel line, top coat, and maybe throw in some water slide decals, I'm sure the Sinanju will look great with the Archie Unicorn. And next up, here it is right next to the other Sinanju, the Sinanju Stein narrative version. And if you remember my old videos, finally, here it is right next to Megatron with the Fossilizer upgrade. Now this is Villains Month, I decided to put Optimus Prime to the side. And sadly, I don't have any Godzilla villains, so this is the best I could do. Let's move on to my final thoughts. So, for my final thoughts, does this 12-year-old kid age well? I have to say, it kinda does. I mean, sure, the out-of-box presentation is kinda meh, and the articulation is not up to modern standards. If you can look past that, I still recommend this kit. And if you're planning to do some detail paint, you're gonna have to put in some effort into it, because I cannot emphasize this enough. Alright guys, that's gonna be it for the review. If you guys are new here, want to see more content like this, be sure to subscribe. Any questions, concerns, comment down below. Don't forget to leave a like. I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you guys for helping me reach over 100 subscribers. I'm surprised that I made it over 100 before the end of this year. Well, I don't know if I'm going to do anything special, but we'll see.